Alright, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Grand Line Review, and we are checking out the new Emperors. Going to be interesting to see what happens now that Kaido and Big Mom are out of the picture. Times are a-changing. Let's see what Grand Line Review has to say, shall we?
Hello and welcome to
that last chapter. My god.
My name is Liam, and holy crap, Wano is coming to like a screeching
one chapter left. Yeah, I thought there was like
so
still something else to go.
It's kind of insane, and the out-of-context summary is as follows. It's over, and all is right with the world. Everyone's happy,
yay!
Everyone's eating, everyone's awake, well, except for the dead ones. And we will be leaving Wano immediately, but not before being confronted by a flower man. Now, I should point out that other types of men include Goose, Me Like Montage, and Trace.
Yeah, the flower man flying in at the end, just like,
stuff. In any case, these three committed the gloriousome act of
subscribing
to the Grand Line Review, which will result in consistent injections of One Piece culture being administered directly
Boom.
into YouTube.
I highly recommend subscribing to Grand Line Review, man. I love these videos. It's so fun to watch.
Please do say hi in the
It's
comments
funny and
below if you
entertaining
are
at the same time as being informative.
Welcome. Alright, we've got a ton to talk about this week on this, too much really, but we are going to start with the awakening of Luffy and Zoro, by which I mean the waking up.
Like that, they're awake.
One of the scenes in 1052 that really sticks out to me is the wondrous return of these two partners in crime,
Hell yes.
each demanding their drug of choice, be it alcohol or
I want
We've
fur.
always said that Luffy and Zoro have been on a bit of a similar wavelength, but they have never looked more perfectly in tune than they are now. And I love it, especially because Zoro is one of those characters who tends to show so little emotion beyond
That's very true.
Flares, you know, the whole, So here it's really great to see Zoro being able to embrace his inner Luffy. And the other thing that really stood out to me is Zoro's interaction with Sanji, because I think they had about as much of a bro moment as they're capable of. And I like their
Yeah,
exchange.
I'm always worried about the Gem 66 thing.
Oda is being just very
If I lose myself, take me out.
Zoro claims, potentially in a joking manner, that he came back from the death thing in order to deliver death to Sanji. And I think that's a nice resolution to their whole thread during Onigashima. And obviously we probably shouldn't read too much into that because it's probably just a bit of banter. But
Yeah,
even so,
I didn't think it was too much to ponder over.
May have given Zoro a reason to live, even if that reason was to kill him. No news on the Reaper situation, of course, and at this point I can imagine this being one of the many mysteries that Oda just decides to
just throw in.
Pocket to reveal at a later date,
definitely.
or in an SBS. It's kind of crazy just how many big questions get solved outside of the actual series itself. Also, the stupidly cute contrast of Yamato on top of Luffy and Chopper on top of Zoro's head is just...
The way Yamato goes into the male
little brother dynamic of Zoro and Chopper is always
bath, I like that.
treat to see. Let's do something more serious now, because this chapter actually delivered a hell of a lot of death. And I have to give full credit to Eiichiro Oda here. I often, in fact very often, complain about how death is handled in One Piece, and this is no exception. Because I think this actually proves my point about death more than anything. Because sure, Oda ended up actually killing
them off, that's why they weren't in the ceremony.
But as a reader, I don't treat their deaths as any kind of emotional loss.
No.
This might just be a me
I didn't
thing.
think I was like,
I'm
oh, right.
Oh, that's sad. I'm more like, that's a novelty. One Piece characters have been, for the most part, immersion-breakingly immune from death for so long that when I see a scene like Ashura Doji being exploded, I don't feel anything, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because you think they're going to be alright, and then it's just, oh, they're not.
99.9% chance that he'll be fine. This is, of course, the 0.1% where that thought was wrong, and I feel like it kind of robbed me of getting to feel Ashura Doji's sacrifice.
Yeah,
I'm far more
I agree.
interested in this event as a novelty than I am actually feeling for the character in his sacrifice, and that's just because of the long-standing problem of death in One Piece. It's the same with Izo as well, although something about Izo that does hit me quite retrospectively hard is his conversation with Kinemon in chapter 986. Kinemon states, "So this is what you've chosen to make your last stand." And then Izo replies with, "I've missed too many chances for a glorious and meaningful death." And look, full props to Izo, because just like the skilled marksman he is, he did not miss this one. Their deaths do make a fair bit of sense thematically, though. Izo and Ashura Doji were the ones who either abandoned Wano or gave up hope, so I think it's quite sorrowful, yet I guess kind of appropriate, that they're the ones
The
who
death
paid
creeped
the
up on
biggest
them,
price
yeah.
in order to set things right. And in retrospect, Wano is probably the bloodiest arc in all of One Piece. What have we got? Izo, Ashura, Kandro, Archie, probably. 2 CP0 agents, too. And potentially even Big Mom and Kaido. And we're not even done
We
yet.
still don't know for 100%, do we? That's mad.
Another big curveball by the name of Basil Hawkins. As it turns out, Hawkins was the 1% man, in a twist that absolutely nobody could have seen coming. So I'm going to move on to a more fun idea, which is that Hawkins might be reading himself. What a twist. To be fair, what I predicted happening was Hawkins switching sides after seeing that his chances were 1%. But as it turns out, he took what I am going to describe as the Bellamy solution, where he realizes that he's entirely wrong and almost certainly going to do the death, but proceeds anyway.
Yeah.
Various honors and choosing paths and fates and stuff like that. basically just indulging in the life equivalent of a sunk cost fallacy. I mean, in Bellamy's case specifically, it was like, I've spent so much time worshipping a flamingo that I couldn't possibly
Can't not
stop.
anymore.
Hawkins is a bit of an interesting case though, because he did this whole thing backwards. He should have fought when he gave up, and he should have given up when he fought. Although I suppose this does somewhat redeem him, maybe. Hawkins, in his own way, was fighting against fate because he didn't want to compromise himself any further to numbers on cards, and also he didn't want Killer to wag his finger at him and go, yeah, you shouldn't have betrayed me, straw man. So in a way, it kind of redeems him. I mean, probably the most heartbreaking thing about the potential of Hawkins dying is that we would never get to see all of the worst generation members together. However, I should point out that he still may be alive. In fact, right now, I'd say there's a roughly 1% chance
that he is, yeah.
And that maybe in the future we'll have a cover story featuring the adventures of Drake and Hawkins doing whatever it is Drake...
I don't think so. I reckon Hawkins is out.
I feel like Hawkins should live after this, because in the end he did the right thing after doing the wrong thing. And that's what Izo and Ashura did, and it didn't work out for them, so, well, bye.
I reckon he's out.
And in the end, if Hawkins does die, it would make perfect sense, because he would have been killed by a man literally named Killer. But as for everyone else, another great touch in 1052 was the scene at the dock. Being able to see all of the ships lined up together was kind of surreal. Like, there's the Thousand Sunny, the Victoria Punk, and the Polar Tang. It's just such a great representation of our core alliance. And possibly the most subtle thing I enjoyed was Usopp being included in the repair team. Because before Frankie, he used to repair the...
Oh yeah, that's true, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
He's hardly a shipwright, he does have incredibly useful skills. So I always enjoy...
That makes sense. I like that. That's cool.
Plus,
yeah.
Beppo and Killer reacting to Frankie Shogun was amazing. Frankie is such an underappreciated Straw Hat, so it's always good to let him have a proud moment. And then there's Apu. Unlike Hawkins, this man has had no real redemption, and it's more like everyone around him has just sort of stopped caring that he exists.
Yeah,
However, he
he's
does
just
have
around.
a very, very important thing to do in this chapter, which is to present us with a holy newspaper. And the information in here is going to rock the world,
Bounties!
both fictional and
Bounties!
real. Not only do we have the promise of new bounties, but also an announcement of which figures are apparently considered the new Emperors of the Sea. And surely we have to get those reveals next week.
We got to.
It would be the ultimate frustrating tease for Oda to leave that lingering during the month-long hiatus. Oh yeah, and by the way, bad news if you didn't know. One Piece will be going on break for a month after chapter 1053, which means that we have one more chapter and then 4 very, very dry weeks ahead. But back to bounties. This is pretty momentous because it may very well be the last bounty change of the series. Because in the final saga, I imagine that we're going to be dealing with the very system of power that distributes these bounties, and if that system gets toppled, then there's no real need to keep assigning them. So here's something I'm very curious about you. You can let me know in the comments.
Okay.
What do you think? Will Luffy's bounty be higher or lower than Kaido's? Because I legitimately don't know. I mean, the dude led a charge that took down 2 emperors at once.
It's going to be higher. They're worrying.
So maybe he'll finally
They're worried about the Joy Boy reveal and
5,600,000,000.
everything that's going on with Wano and that now.
In other developments, the elephant in the room has finally left, and so I guess it's now socially acceptable to talk about him. Zunesha just up and wandered off. Didn't even take out some old government ships with him, which is quite rude. And for anyone who actually had some hopes of the world government attacking Wano, well, Momonosuke has thoroughly given you the theory equivalent of blue balls, because his decision not to open the borders immediately has pretty seriously saved us here. So I guess what we have on our hands here currently is more like a siege of Wano. And a siege is still a problem that we're going to need to deal with eventually, because the Straw Hats are going to need to leave soon.
Yeah, they're going, aren't they? They gotta go.
Problems though, because another item in our 2022 bingo card has been crossed off with the very unexpected presence of a certain Ryukugyu. We still don't know what he looks like yet, but we do finally have some insight into his power, which is delightfully plant-based. It's been suspected for quite a while that Ryukugyu could have had a plant-type devil fruit, mostly due to the whole lack of eating thing, which he claims is just far too much trouble, and allegedly he has not eaten in a whole 3 years. But if he was a plant, then he could photosynthesize and stay alive that way. The big question is, what are you doing here, Mr. Plant?
Yeah, why?
I suppose we have 2 options. Either he's here to start some shit, or he's here to just chat and chill. And I'd like to say it's the second.
Yeah, I hope it's chat and chill, man. I want some really interesting discussions going on.
That chapter 1054 will be the start of the final One Piece saga.
Crazy.
Which is crazy in and of itself, because I feel like we have so many things left to resolve, and I don't know how it all
Oh, it's gonna go on for like 3 years though, come on.
These new elements like Ryukugyu. The one thing that I desperately hope he's not there to do is to capture Robin. In this chapter, the elder
They did mention getting Robin, didn't they?
Recovering her, but we've done that story before.
Already,
However, I suppose there's a chance for this to act as a nice contrast. The idea that the first time the Straw Hats met an admiral was Aokiji, and they were just completely powerless against
Yeah,
him.
that's true,
Maybe
now.
they've reached the point where they could actually deny the power of an admiral. Could be cool, I guess. Alright, let's talk about bath scenes now. And I notoriously hate bath scenes. I legitimately think they are a plague on shonen media. Not necessarily because of the sexualization or anything, but more so because I just find them to be a waste of time. Especially in a series like One Piece where we have so much to do and seemingly so little
How
time
dare
left to
you,
do.
sir.
However, there was some substance to doing it in chapter 1052 because it gave Yamato and Kiku a chance to be their chosen selves, really, which is a great indicator of the freedom that all of Wano now gets to enjoy. You know, gigantic comic breasts aside, I really enjoyed seeing Yamato just having fun with the crew, and in essence acting almost exactly
nice.
like Luffy. Yamato has really great chemistry with the crew, but we are still waiting on that
Yeah,
answer.
like, where is he
One
joining?
thing I'm gonna go ahead and say I definitely don't think I needed was to see Tama grabbing Nami's chest and going, wow, I hope I have massive melons one day. That is, of course, paraphrasing, but like, the intent is correct. I mean, the whole thing with Tama's dream of becoming a bewitching kunoichi because Ace told her to has always been a bit weird to me. Oh, and speaking of, the thing I liked least by far about this chapter also involves Nami's breasts, and it's when Momo grabs them. I mean,
I thought it was quite funny.
we needed
I thought it was quite
something
funny.
to show us that Momo
Still has an 8-year-old mind, yes.
Before all of the serious stuff started happening, Momo only really had two character traits. One is that he cries a lot, and two is that he gets away with touching a lot of titties.
Because
So
he's a
if we're going
kid.
to show this as a child mentality, we essentially need to do one of those two things, because that's all Momonosuke has. Still, I think it undid a lot of the good work from the last chapter. I left 1051 feeling that Momo had matured, evolved, and was ready to leave.
I thought it was a funny moment. It was a funny
proud of
moment.
him and how much he'd grown. I mean, look, it's not the worst thing in the world. I just think we could have done without it. But something we absolutely cannot do without is the addition of Caesar Clown to the Gemma cover story. Welcome aboard, good sir. I have somehow missed you. And I'm not at all surprised that you failed to escape, because that is what you do, Caesar. You fail. But
Yes,
these
you
two
do.
sickening legends of science potentially teaming up is a weirdly exciting idea. And really, all they need is Queen along for the ride, and we would have like a perfect trio.
God, yeah, imagine.
But for a perfect something else that isn't that, here's another video, and it's good, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Damn. Cool. Yeah. I can't wait. Like, the potential emperors, I really do think, like, Luffy was named, like, loosely an emperor anyway, but Luffy's got to be on there. Shanks is still there. Blackbeard's there. And then, I don't know, do you reckon Law? Or do you reckon there's going to be some mad twist? Buggy? Now, wouldn't that be a really fun one for everyone to be totally shocked over seeing that, like, Buggy's been put in the potential list for being a new Emperor of the Sea? That would be absolutely class. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter, and then we've got a break, and then final story. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month helps support the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.